This is Brenda Mahoney of ACMi News bringing you this special report due to the coronavirus pandemic, giving you an update as to what's going on in Arlington, Massachusetts as of Friday, March 13th. Here's what we know. All schools in Arlington have been closed. That's public schools as well as the 2 Catholic schools. This is to try to slow the spread of the coronavirus disease. Many organizations as well are also closed, and official town facilities are closed, such as the senior center, the library, the recreation department. Town hall itself is open for business with minimally staffed resources there at this time. There is also a hotline that has been set up for Arlington residents, and that number is 781-316-3952. That'll be staffed at least until 4 o'clock Friday, March 13th, and possibly longer. And of course, you can also find all the latest information on arlingtonma.gov. I can tell you I've been in touch with the Arlington Food Pantry. They are operating on being open next week for their market. They're also still getting food sources from Greater Boston Food Bank, so they are operational as well. And the schools are working with the low and reduced lunch school children, making sure that they can have a way to also have continuity there as well. So I now let you, we will join our previously scheduled newscast that was recorded just Thursday, March 12th. This is Brenda Mahoney, and this is a special report.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered. We're your neighbors, a friend you can turn to. This is ACMi News.
Town leaders say everything is being done in accordance with the state and Centers for Disease Control to minimize the ongoing coronavirus situation. Hello, I'm Tyler Valancourt.
And I'm Carla Dorado. ACMi News tried talking to Town Manager Adam Chapdelaine to get the latest on the state of the town and how residents and businesses are faring, but things are just as fluid at the center of town government as it is everywhere else. Throughout the newscast, we'll be showing you the town website for all the latest on the coronavirus in Arlington in the upper left of your screen. Just go to arlingtonma.gov.
Meantime, the town of Arlington continues to make decisions its leadership feels is best for the community, taking into account the latest information from state and federal authorities. Now to recap, here's what town leaders have decided to do.
As Governor Baker's office is urging older adults and those with health issues to avoid large crowds and large events, the Arlington Senior Center programming is suspended until further notice. Programs and events at Arlington's libraries will be postponed, and public meeting spaces will be closed until further notice. Arlington Recreation Department meetings, events, and programming are canceled until further notice. The town is urging reasonable caution and strongly urges all residents to practice good hygiene, especially as it relates to hand washing and covering coughs or sneezes. All foreign and domestic travel, including conferences or seminars, for municipal employees has been suspended until further notice. Regular internal business shall continue, including but not limited to the meetings of boards and commissions that are preparing for town meeting or otherwise have statutory regulatory responsibilities to fulfill. Exceptions to this will require the written approval of the town manager. Any meeting cancellations would be posted on the town website and, of course, at Town Hall. Town officials are actively discussing potential impacts on town meeting and also speaking with state officials regarding potential legislative relief. As more information becomes available, it will be shared with town meeting members and, of course, the general public.
Again, stay connected to us as events unfold. You can go to acmi.tv and click newscasts. There you will find our coronavirus update link. Just click on that and you'll get the latest ACMi News updates on the coronavirus. Now, town leaders stress, if you are feeling sick or have a fever or flu symptoms, stay home. Don't report for work or school.
Again, if there's any information you need regarding postponements or cancellations, go to the Arlington website, arlingtonma.gov. And ACMi News will keep you updated as events warrant. A closer look at what's going on for the public schools now. As of March 12th, all schools are currently open in Arlington. This after Stratton Elementary School was shut down for a day after a parent and one of their children were diagnosed with a presumptive case of COVID-19. That's the illness associated with the coronavirus. Another parent with children in the Arlington school system tested negative for the disease, with testing of one of their children who attends Dallin Elementary forthcoming, according to health officials. Both families are connected to the Biogen conference outbreak. Assistant News Director Brenda Mahoney is at the forefront of all this. She's a Stratton parent and spoke with the principal on the decisions made to protect all Stratton community members.
Stratton Elementary School back open this week after a student was diagnosed with the new coronavirus, COVID-19. Principal Michael Hanna confident in the decision made by town health officials after cleaning the school and tracing all contacts. The students' classmates and close contacts, including 5 staff members, under self-quarantine now for 2 weeks.
It's really important, I think, for the thriving of our children to be being as rational as we can be and leaning on the really outstanding public health officials that we've got in the town and relying on expertise.
Public and school health workers answering parent questions during a meeting at the school and a call center the night before doors reopened. Some parents trying to understand why Stratton is staying open when they have a coronavirus case. Meanwhile, some businesses and universities working and teaching remotely when they don't have a case. Town officials saying schools don't have a bottom line like companies do, or the international travel of a campus. The Arlington Health Department says it's about slowing the spread of coronavirus, and they think they've done that here at Stratton Elementary by quarantining the student with COVID-19 as well as close contacts. Now, Principal Michael Hanna is also confident, and he's just ready to get back to what they do best.
I'm hoping for the health and the thriving of all the kids, and that we continue to move our focus to the teaching and learning here at Stratton School, and we're very proud of our faculty and our programming, and I'd like to get to that.
Meanwhile, they are keeping the school clean and students are washing their hands more frequently. Arlington's health department is checking in on those in self-quarantine. The 2 coronavirus patients said to be doing well. Brenda Mahoney, ACMi News.
Arlington Public Schools are canceling large group activities, including field trips, the all-town choral, orchestra, and band concerts, as well as dramatic performances. All other after-school activities will continue. Superintendent Kathleen Bodie told families in an email that there could be more changes in the future.
And now, some Arlington business owners say they've seen a downturn in revenue due to the coronavirus. And I have to say, as an Arlington business owner, I agree. Operators of Szechuan's Dumpling, a popular Asian restaurant at 1360 Mass Ave in the Heights, say they've seen at least a 40% drop in business in the past 3 weeks, and that's a conservative figure. While we were there, the eatery was completely empty. Not an unusual sight to see, as Asian-owned establishments like this have suffered economically as this pandemic spreads. Owners here say businesses have plummeted in large part due to fear and misinformation, and this isn't the only business to see a substantial downturn in recent weeks. Some business operators we have spoke to say they understand the public's concern given the constant barrage of reports we've been receiving daily from all media platforms, but the stigma and uncertainty is truly something to be concerned about.
Also, we're being told candidates' night at Town Hall set for March 25th has been canceled. So with all of this happening, what can you do to lessen your chance of contracting COVID-19? ACMi News talked to 2 Arlington public health leaders with some measures they're undertaking and some tips on what we all can do to weather the situation.
You know, first and foremost at the health department, our top priority is the health of our residents. And so that's what would be our driving force in making these decisions, is trying to keep our residents as healthy as possible. Would there be a point where we might need to have some closures? Maybe, and those decisions would have to be made. They'd have to be made in conjunction, all the departments together, and that would just mean employers trying to figure out what happens if schools are closed and my employees have to be home with their children, or if our businesses have to be closed. Are there opportunities for employees to be working at home? For students, they definitely do a lot of work on Google Classroom. Is there opportunities for that to be maintained over perhaps a 14-day period.
We are again following the advice of the Centers for Disease Control, as well as the Mass Department of Public Health, and situationally, things may change. It's a rapid evolving situation, and so what we may be doing today may change as of what we're doing tomorrow.
The steps that can be taken to prevent influenza are the same steps that can be taken to prevent coronavirus. So most definitely washing hands with soap and water, or using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer, covering cough and sneeze, and staying home if you're sick. We don't tend to do this in our society, community, but from school or work or gatherings, if you're sick, as much as you might not want to miss something, staying home. Okay, so masks are a hot topic right now. If you are a healthy person wearing a mask, there has been a lot of research done with various communicable diseases that wearing a mask as a healthy person will not prevent you from getting the disease. You should be wearing a mask if you are a healthcare professional in a healthcare setting. And also if you are sick with a cough, wearing a mask can help prevent those droplets. This is how influenza is spread. This is how most coronaviruses are spread, and they believe this coronavirus is spread. So droplets are when you're coughing, sneezing, laughing, droplets do spread, and that's how other people can get sick. So the mask if you are sick, to prevent your cough and sneeze from getting to other people, and mask if you're a medical professional. However, for healthy people, it is not recommended, and this is why we're seeing such a shortage in masks these days, because people are buying them thinking this will keep me healthy. However, that has been proven not to be the case.
ACMi News now has the capacity to give you the latest on how Arlington is dealing with what the World Health Organization has now deemed a pandemic. We are in contact with town leaders to give up-to-the-minute information on the coronavirus so that we can get it to you on our air as soon as possible.
Just stay tuned to ACMi's public, educational, or government channels for up-to-the-minute ACMi news updates on any potential coronavirus-related cancellations, closings, or breaking news. Also, go to our webpage, acmi.tv. Click on ACMi News. You'll see our latest reports and updates on the coronavirus in Arlington in the upper left-hand corner of your screen.
In other news this week, police have cited the driver after an apparent hit and run over the weekend. It happened Saturday, March 7th, shortly after 10 p.m. on the 100 block of Mass Ave at Magnolia Street. Arlington police say an 80-year-old Cambridge man struck a pedestrian, then drove away before EMTs arrived at the scene. The victim, a 48-year-old Baldwinville man, was rushed to a nearby hospital with life-threatening injuries. He is now in stable condition. Meantime, police say the driver will be cited for leaving the scene of the hit and run. Authorities have not released the names of the pedestrian or the motorist who struck him. The driver is set to be arraigned in Cambridge District Court. A rather bizarre small fire broke out in East Arlington Monday morning, March 9th, at 180 Mass Ave. One of our citizen journalists took pics of the fire. You can see small flames on the sidewalk in front of the Arlington Vision Center. Fire crews arrived at the scene to find a propane tank torch burning on the sidewalk. Dry chemicals were used to extinguish the fire, and firefighters poured water on the tank to cool it. A plumber was soldering some fittings when the tank malfunctioned, and once things were cooled, fire crews disposed of the ruptured tank.
At the intersection of Mass Ave and Broadway stands a majestic monument dedicated to those Arlingtonians who fought in America's Civil War. It's easily visible from either road or from the shops that surround it, and from the thousands of people who pass by it every day.
But have you really taken a good look at it? Michael Ruderman, who is our ACMi board member and public historian, recently gave a presentation on the monument at Arlington's Masonic Temple. He says the pillar is an Arlington treasure that teaches us new things more than a century after it was built.
It was known when it was erected as the Soldiers and Sailors Monument. It was constructed from November of 1886 to April of 87. I realized that there were a lot of stories that this monument is telling. It's telling the stories of 33 men whose names are inscribed on it, Arlington's dead in the American Civil War, as well as the stories of the people that thought it was important to commemorate that sacrifice and to raise the money and to have this monument designed for them, even though it took over 20 years after the end of the war to get it done, they still felt this compulsion. It was on their honor, the survivors of the time, to honor the dead. What I found out most surprising to me was how I had been missing information on this monument. Now, I live just around the corner. I see it literally every day. But what I had been missing had been probably the principal reason that they erected it. As it says right there on the main plaques around the base, it was about the preservation of the Union. And the Union, capital U, Union, we take as a metaphor for the United States. This was a war that was about the survival of America, as seen by those that fought it for the Union side. If we hadn't, the Union, if we hadn't won that war, there would have been no United States afterwards, because any state could leave for any reason. And yet I missed that message, even though it's right up there in Lincoln's words, President Abraham Lincoln's words as quoted from his address at Gettysburg. Part of being an American is remembering the sacrifices that the men and the women in our military make for us every day on active duty, and in standing ready to go and protect us if they're called. And of course, the ultimate sacrifice is life itself. We honor that service and we honor that willingness in many ways, and one of them is to put the names of the people who've committed to doing that, and the names of some of them who committed and, like I said, made that ultimate sacrifice by putting their names someplace where we can see them and remember them and honor them and respect them. It happens after every war, and we create these lasting memorials to remind ourselves that that kind of sacrifice is always going to be needed. Someone will be called upon in America's need, in times of emergency, to risk life to save the rest of us. These men did it. They weren't the only ones, they weren't the first, and they're not the last. And we honor that commitment and that willingness by putting their names someplace where we can see them and remember them.
The pillar is made from 3 kinds of granite: gray granite from Quincy, red granite from Westerly, Rhode Island, and the remaining gray granite is from Vermont.
The Boston Tea Party is over. Now, that happened in 1773, which means we are now in the midst of our all-important tax season. The IRS says one tip if you're a homeowner is to take advantage of all your available tax benefits you're able to claim in the current tax year.
Just hold on to the paperwork for those expenses. Oh, you mean you haven't filed your taxes yet? Well, here's ACMi News intern Victoria Gonzalez with your tax countdown.
All of us are only a few weeks away before squaring things up with Uncle Sam, and time is quickly running out. We're asking area residents if they finished preparing their taxes before the April 15 deadline, or if they prefer living on the edge and squaring up the numbers just hours before Uncle Sam comes to claim what is lawfully his.
You should do your taxes as soon as possible. Everybody wants money.
I filed my taxes at about March 20th or so, because I have to wait for all the forms to come in, because some of them always end up coming in late. But if I wait until the last minute, I'm always afraid I'm going to mess something up. But if I do it too early, I'm afraid I'm also going to mess something up. So medium amount of worrying, medium amount of timeline.
I filed taxes at the beginning of April. By the time my accountant works with me on completing the tax forms.
And I have a lot going on, so I want to try and get them done in next weekend or the weekend after. But I don't always do it. I usually get it in on time, though. I mean, it's last minute, but hysterics. And I actually have a CPA, which makes me very lucky.
I like to file my taxes early. I get free time filing through Arlington Senior Center.
If you're one of those folks who wait till the last minute, you're still ahead of the game for now. Just remember, the IRS does keep perfect time. And once again, the filing deadline for your 2019 tax returns is April 15th. For ACMi News, I'm Victoria Gonzalez.
Meantime, the Treasury Department is looking increasingly likely to extend the April 15th tax deadline in an effort to provide some potential relief to American households and businesses facing economic uncertainty due to the spread of the coronavirus. How any potential extension would work remains to be seen.
The good news is the Spy Ponders are going to the state championship game, but will the game go on as scheduled?
We have the latest now. Let's turn it over to Studio B.
winter season is coming to an end this week in Arlington. Girls hockey faced Braintree in the quarterfinals of their tournament earlier this week and unfortunately found the end of their season.
Battling for it still. Spy Ponders looks to keep the play alive, but it goes back into the neutral zone. Braintree going the other way. Shaw taken. Rod makes the save. Rebound. They score!
Braintree moved on to the semifinals with a 3-0 win over the Spy Ponders. The boys, on the other hand, will be moving on to play the state championship after taking a 2-1 win over Pope Francis at the Loring Arena.
All right, puck goes back to Jones. Jones over to Missouri. He one-times it. He whistled it wide. Comes back. Another shot for Arlington. Fanned on the shot. Jones. Score! Who got it?
That's Ryan Davies. He's usually a defenseman. He's playing down low on the power play. You saw the pass from Piendez. What a nice play across the crease after the muffed shot from Callahan.
Unfortunately, due to the escalating situation with coronavirus, the final game at the TD Garden on March 15th will not be played. MIAA released the following statement. This decision was made in the best interests of all of our student athletes, schools, and communities. Schools who would have been participating in the state finals will be considered co-champions. That's all we have for sports this week. Back to you at Studio A.
Thanks as always, boys. A longtime volunteer member of the ACMi family is flying the coop, and we couldn't be happier for her.
But we are a little sad as well. Sin, who has taken part in so many of our public affairs, arts, and entertainment programs, is moving to Northwestern Massachusetts. Sin has been with us for nearly 8 years and is the last continuous member of the original Arlington Public News crew. Sin has played a critical role in our continued success here at ACMi. Sin has also been an invaluable part of our newscast.
As a matter of fact, Sin is floor directing this broadcast right now, so let's bring her out. We're going to miss you, Sin, but we wish you nothing but the best, and please don't be a stranger. Come back and visit us anytime. Now, of course, stay with us for all your latest news and sports updates, and we'll have the latest on what Arlington is doing to minimize the spread of the coronavirus. Meantime, check out the Arlington website at arlingtonma.gov, and again, click on ACMi News. You'll see our latest reports and the updates on the coronavirus in Arlington. That'll do it for us here in Studio A. I'm Tyler Valancourt.
And I'm Carla Dorado. Once again, congrats to Sin, and everyone stay safe. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMi Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.